they wouldn't show up. I think they kind of didn't want to hurt us, or they figured they may have to at that point back then.
It was spitting snow when we was up Honey up that day.
We've been out in some terrible weather. And we weren't just fighting for our rights, we were fighting for our children, our grandchildren, and the new generation that's coming on that's going to run the world one of these days. And I sure hope they can do a better job than some of the old ones has done.
Well, Dan was our regular Baptist preacher, and I belonged to the regular Baptist church at that time. And we talked about it one time, and we was talking about that we felt like we were doing the right thing. That, you know, deep down we felt like that we were right, and that it seemed that even though some of them was shot at and their hair nearly parted, no one got hurt. No one got wounded. No one got killed. And we was remarking that we felt like that was the reason.
Well,
So to speak, that God was on our side.
there's one thing that always strikes me as it was great that nobody got hurt. And there's something that a lot of people fail to understand our reasons. We weren't fighting against the man that was working and making an honest dollar. We were trying to save the land and have something left. Or if we couldn't save it at that point, to get it improved to where it would protect the people a little better and protect the land a little more than it was at that point. At that point, we had some laws on the records, but they weren't being enforced, which we have laws right now that if they really and truly enforce those laws, we'd have a lot better situation now. But they really don't enforce the laws to the extent and to the full limit of them right now. And they probably never will, unless, I wouldn't even know how to begin to say, excepting the people stand up for their rights as usual, as the Appalachian group did to save land and people.
Madge, Dan was an old regular Baptist minister.
Yeah.
And how did his church or his association react to him being active in the fight against strip mining?
Well, most of them agreed with us, but at one point, he and I both were brought up in church and questioned about it. That some of them, didn't think that we should be doing that. But that's all it amounted to. I mean, most of them, felt like that we were doing something that needed to be done to help our neighbors out. So I just felt like, it's something that the Lord would want me to do. That it was just something that I felt real strongly about. And I still feel like that the right was on our side. And Clear Creek actually would have been in the same shape as Lots Creek. That it would have been stripped until every time it comes a rain, slips comes. There's a mountain between Lots Creek and Clear Creek that has been slipping for 20-some years. And I don't know if it's all slipped off yet or not.
Well, they sent...
You couldn't travel that road over there hardly.
They sent a group in here back about 3 years ago and redid the whole scene of the Big Fork Mountain. I guess you know where I'm talking about. Which the road was off there every winter. They couldn't get a school bus to the top of the hill, and the kids couldn't get to school. And a lot of the... In Lots Creek there was slides that came out, and the school bus couldn't come up to pick the kids up, and it caused kids to miss school. So it was real bad.
think Marietta said at one time they were blocked 3 ways in Lots Creek.
Yeah.
Slips. She and I and Joe Begley and Ray Harm was on Charleston and Huntington. And I know when I went to pick her up that it had rained and there was quite a lot of slides over there. He did ruin some of the homes. Some people never did get to go back to their homes.
It's been
And
bad.
they've had to have that creek dredged out because down at the lower end of Lots Creek it's real low. And it floods over there till they can't get up and down through there real easily.
Well, I can't remember. I can't recall ever seeing the water up on Lots Creek till you couldn't travel the main highway till after the stripping was done.
Well, on Fur Creek, it's same way. When I was growing up, I don't know if I ever seen the water over the road, and now at one time I know that they come a flood and hit wash trailers and everything up on Fur Creek, and two of my family had to stay out, and then my son that was going to grade school, it was dark before he got in, and it doesn't take any water at all. Yeah,
This wind is blowing this thing here.
it don't take any water at all to get.
Is there anything we're not getting to here?
Well, there's probably a lot we're not getting to, but there'd probably take us a month to do it all.
Yeah.
So, really and truly, the one thing I'd like to really say is I'd like to say that the Appalachian Group, I feel, did a very good job of getting some legislation and some protection in here for the landowners, and I'd like to see people stand up to for their rights. And we also have a group right now that it's on this land grab situation, which companies is coming back and claiming that they bought the land years and years ago, and
It was given to them as a land grant, and
so
when it belonged to England.
they're trying to take it away from the people that's got houses and farmed it and tended it for years and years. And I'd like to see that group of people go as far as we did and get some limitations set on that somehow or other.
Every so often it comes up for an auction,
But they've never.
and people goes in there, and we think that's what intimidates them. They never have auctioned it off. They've put it off, but they do have a citizens group that when things like this come up, they do call meetings, and they are trying to get things done, but they must have pretty much of a. I can't see why that anything like that could even come up, but they must have some influence. I think it was federal officers that were supposed to auction it off, and that's just something that's just like trying to sell the Brooklyn Bridge to me. Is someone coming up with land grants that was supposedly issued when this belonged to England. And if they own the land, Kentucky River couldn't have bought it. And it seems to me like that I just never felt like they could get as far as getting it up to auction off and things. I mean, that's something that's real far out, ain't it?
We've not stopped strip mining. We've controlled it some. We don't have any union mines left in the area anymore. Everything we fought for is going. Every time you turn the radio on, something's being cut here, something's being cut there. They're deregulating here, they're deregulating there. What are we going to do? What's going to have to happen again?
Well, as far as I can see, things is on. They're only getting worse. They can't. At this rate it's going now, the people's not going to have any say so over anything. Take our president. We need a president. Yeah, and we
I
need
thought we had one.
we need one, and we need. As far as I'm concerned, the president has got a lot to do, and they don't do much. They they really see where they can cut Social Security, welfare, food stamps, unemployment. They want to cut all those bills back. But watch through the legislation and see if all of those little bills they're cutting out for taxes and all this money that's coming out of the poor person's pocket or the working man's billfold is going right back into the raises that they're doing for themselves. It's just like in our county governments, they'd vote against. They'd vote for a tax raise. They'd vote for a pay raise, but they won't vote for a medical cure to be raised, or Social Security to be raised, or unemployment to be raised. Those are the things that they don't deal with efficiently like I think they should. These are the things that we are trying to see that our people that's not working have something, and the ones that can't work has better medical provision to take care of them, and also the man that is working should have a accurate, a very, very accurate amount of pay and a very lot of respect, because he is the backbone of the nation. Our president only raises, well, he can go out and have a big party, or he can pay thousands and thousands of dollars for whatever he wants, and he retires with a big pension each year. And the man that works all of his life retires with a $300 or $400 salary. The man that's worked and put him there and took care of him in his office and paid his bills. So the backbone of the nation is the working man, in my book, and the people that stands up for the rights of the people in that situation, the people that work. So I'm all for the working man, whoever he is. If he's driving a coal truck, or if he's shoveling dirt from behind a barn or whatever, or out of the barn even, I'm still for that guy, and I'll stand right here and say it, and I'll do it anywhere else. If there's anything I could do to better his situation, I'd be glad to do it.
What was your feeling, Madge, when you heard that the broad form deed had finally was gone, supposedly?
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
I really couldn't believe it, and I do hope that the amendment to the broad form deed isn't done away with. They're still trying to get that done away with, so we don't have any control of our land. And I really hope that they don't. That broad form deed is un-American, I think. I don't think that they should be anything like that existing. It's not entirely done away with. They tried to, but some of the states have outlawed it, and I do hope that eventually in Kentucky that they will outlaw it, because it's just a piece of paper fixed up for the coal operators to come in and just do what they want to with their land. Well, the highest court in Kentucky ruled that the mineral is more important than the people, and that was something that
how was that? What do you mean they
the
ruled?
Court of Appeals, a highest court in Kentucky, ruled that the mineral was more important than the people, and it's still law.
Well,
I
I don't
mean,
know
gee
about
whiz.
the documents they've got on the rulings or so forth and so on about that. But I know one thing, they certainly put it first.
Well, now the vote in the legislature was unanimous to get rid of the broad form deed, right? I mean, what caused them finally to do
Did
that?
they, did they pass that?
Yeah,
Well, I
it
thought
passed.
it was just
Years ago.
Passed 2 years
I
ago.
thought it was
that
just
was,
amendment the way
no,
I read it.
it passed that it was
Really?
no longer no good.
Yeah, right.
Well,
The
I
problem,
must be asleep.
the problem of it is it's in the courts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely
It's
not.
not settled yet.
No, it's not
Well,
settled. But
That's the reason. Well, I knew they had it up,
It had
still
been
trying it
passed.
in the courts. But
Well,
they
hadn't.
outlawed the broad form deed.
It's outlawed, but
But
whether it ever gets back to where it takes real effect is what's gonna. If it's gonna take it 10 years to get out of there and get back to the boards of the people and helping the situation, that's the problem. We need somebody in our government office to put those things out front and deal with them, so they can help the situation. If I buy an egg and lay it in there on the cabinet and I don't never fry it, it's not going to feed anybody. So that's just the situation I see these things in. They're held over, they're pocketed, and they put away, and they sort of, they kind of just
Drag it out.
drag it out as long as they possibly can without some extra help.
Making
They're-
money every day.
Therefore, I think that groups that are concerned, speaking does help get those things out of the legislation and onto the people to where it belongs in the first place. And organization is a great thing.
You think Uncle Dan be proud of what he's looking at today if he was scared?
Well, I'm sure what I know of Dan. Madge can tell you what she knows, but I'm going to say this. I'm sure he would be proud that that bill was passed and that things have come this far. But he'd still be standing up there and say, get it better.
What do you think, Madge?
Well, I really don't think we're in much better position. I sure don't. Not as long as people will take the money, and I'm including the mine inspectors and the federal ones at that. When the silt dam broke up here, and we got after them so hot, and they have left such a mess up there. Why? Now, the unmined minerals group was the one that got them in, and they